Hello, and welcome to 5 Minute Math. For today's number talk, we are looking at the fraction 13/23. We're going to decide mentally whether it is more or less than 1/2, a very important benchmark fraction for us. And we want to do that without converting these to decimals, without using cross multiplication. So, what are some options? Well, think about what happens when we double 1/2. When we double 1/2, we know that we're going to get 2/2, or that's going to equal 1 whole. So what I want to do is I want to double 13/23 and see if I get more or less than 1 whole. That's going to give me a clue. So when I double 13/23, remember we need to have the same denominator when we're adding or subtracting fractions. Then when we have that, we're not adding or subtracting the denominator. That's just the unit that's being used. So we're dealing with 23rds here. So I have 13/23 and another 13/23. Add 13 and 13, that makes 26/23. And that is definitely greater than 1, because 1 whole would be, well, the same numerator and denominator here, 23rds. So I'm thinking that 13/23 is going to be greater than 1/2, simply because when I double it, that 26/23 is greater than 1 whole. And I know when I double 1/2, I simply just get 1 whole evenly. Now, is there another way to think about this? Well, one way to think about this would be, what if I take half of 23, right? What is that fraction going to be that's equal to 1/2? Now that's going to be difficult because that's an odd number. And we don't typically think of taking half of an odd number, but we can do that. Let's look at the numbers directly in front of it and behind it, right? So let's think we have fractions with even denominators, okay? So if I had 20 seconds, half of 22 would be 11. If I had 24ths, half of 24 would be 12. So 23 is right in the middle between those two. So what's in between 11 and 12? Well, we do need to get into a decimal. But it's going to be 11 and a half, or we can call it 11.5. That's equal to 1/2. And definitely 13/23 is greater than 11.5 or 11 and 5/10. We can put a 0.0 there if we need to, but I think most of us would recognize that it is greater. So either way we do it, maybe you came up with another option. 13/23 is greater than 1/2.